All right. Good morning, students. Today we are going to be discussing two things. We are going to be finding the centroid and the orthocenter. Sounds kind of futuristic, but that is what we're going to be doing today. So let's start with the centroid. Um, let's start with how to find the centroid, and then we'll go with this. Go with what it is. So if you were to draw a triangle. Let's say you got a triangle. So if you have a triangle, what you're going to do is you're going to split each side directly in half. So 1.5, so that would be 3/4. And then from that midpoint, so those are equal sides. You're going to go right to the vertex. So just your line to the vertex. I'm going to split this side. It's 2.5. Be 1.25. So there's the middle. I'm going to go right over here. And then this bottom one, got 3, so 1.5. Go up to this point, and they meet right here. And that meeting point, this meeting point right here, that is the centroid. That is the centroid. And the centroid is actually interesting. That's the balance point of the triangle. So if I were to actually cut this triangle out, I could balance it on the centroid. But another thing that the centroid does is the centroid cuts each segment into thirds. So like let's label these A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So what it does is this AD right here is cut into thirds. So there's 1/3, and then 2/3 and 3/3. So it'd be cut into thirds. So if I told you that AD equals 21, what would GD equal? What would GD? If this whole thing is 21, what would this be? Well, it's 1/3 of that, right? Because the centroid splits these lines into thirds. So GD would be 7. So centroid splits lines into thirds. Splits line into thirds. Line segments. Splits line segments into thirds. And the way that you find it is just by finding the midpoint and drawing a line to the opposite side. So that is a centroid. A centroid splits line segments into thirds. And that's how you find it. This is also to find the centroid. To find the centroid, you use medians. What's a median? Well, the median of a triangle is a line from vertex to midpoint of opposite line. So a line from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite line. So a median is a line from the vertex to the middle, because this segment and this segment are equal. So it's the midpoint here, but the centroid marks a third point. So FG is equal to G, well, we'll call it Q, which is equal to QC. So this line segment, this side. So that's thirds, and these are cut in halves. There you go. There's one section for what we're doing today. And the other one is the Orthocenter. Now, how do you find the Orthocenter? That one's a little bit different, but let's make. So the way this one works, I shouldn't have done that's pretty close to a 90. But anyways, the way this one works to find the Orthocenter is you're going to go from a vertex and you're going to find a perpendicular line. So this one's probably the easiest. So perpendicular line right here, that looks about perpendicular. Boom. There's my perpendicular line. Now going from here to here, pretty darn close to where it is. I shouldn't have made such a close. And this one, it's about the same, about there. So this point right here, is called the Orthocenter. Here's a little bit better example of how they go up to a 90 degree. So it's perpendicular to the opposite line. So what this is called, what this line where we go from the vertex perpendicular, that is called the altitude. The altitude is a line from vertex, a perpendicular line. So a perpendicular line from the vertex to opposite side. That's what the altitude is. And what it does is it helps you find the orthocenter. Orthocenter. So it helps you find the orthocenter. So these are altitudes. Altitudes are perpendicular. And then medians split it into two equal segments and go to the opposite vertex. Okay? So those are your two. Now, let's go ahead and figure out how to do a couple of our problems from that. You know what? Let's define this first. Let's just make sure we got our definitions dialed. The median of a triangle. The median of a triangle, good definition, is a line segment from midpoint to opposite angle. And that helps you find the centroid, or the balance point of triangle. Also, the point that cuts median line segments into thirds. All right. The altitude of a triangle is a perpendicular line from side to opposite angle. Perpendicular line from side to opposite angle. And the orthocenter is where altitudes cross or intersect. Where the altitudes intersect. All right, so let's check these out. Here what do we have here? It looks like we have, oh, it tells us we have the centroid. So we will be dealing with these. So we have the centroid. So we know two things. One is we know that these are cut in half. And two, we know that these are cut into thirds. So that's what we know. Find PN and QP. So here's PN and QP. So QN is 33. So this whole length is 33. Well, I know that when I'm dealing with centroids that this is cut into thirds. So 33 divided by 3, this is 11, this is 11, and this is 11. So PN equals 22, and QP equals 11. Got it. All right, give these two a go. Now, check out number 4. Here we have a centroid. Interesting. That's what we were just dealing with centroids. So we know that this is cut in half and that these are cut into thirds. So DE, find CD and CE. So CD equals CE equals. So DE is 7. So CD, well, it's cut into thirds. So I'll just go ahead and label it. So CD is 14 and CE is 21. Got it. All right, give it a go. Now, find the coordinates of the centroid. Okay, with the triangle given. So, negative, let's start right here. This works out. So we've got negative 2, negative 1. We've got 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have 4, negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. So there's our triangle. Okay, so I need to find the centroid. So I look back here. What's the centroid? Oh, I need to find the midpoint to the opposite angle. So let's find some midpoints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3. So there's a midpoint. Okay. Now let's check this one out. How are we going to find the midpoint? 1.5, so 3/4. So that's 3/4. See how this works out for me. 1.5, 3/4. Oh, it works out perfectly for me. So there is my centroid right there. So my centroid equals 1, 1, 2. Centroid equals 1, 2. All right, give those two a go. Now let's check out this one. Tell whether the orthocenter is inside, on, or outside the triangle. Okay, that makes sense. So the orthocenter right here, is inside the triangle. This one's inside just barely. So let's see, we can actually create a triangle where it's on the outside. So let's see what we get. So negative 4, 4. Let's start our lines right here. So negative 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's negative 4, 4. 1, 1. 6, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So for this one, we are looking for the orthocenter. And the orthocenter requires perpendicular lines going to the opposite. Well, this one's nice because this horizontal line, if I just do, there's my altitude. Boop, right there. Now this one, I have to do, you have to remember, going back to slopes, what a perpendicular slope. A perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite um, reciprocal. So this slope right here, I've got, let's see, let's just take the whole slope with the known point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is 5 over 5 is the slope, which equals 1. So the opposite reciprocal of that is -1. So I go from here. Well, let's pick the midpoint. There's our. Oh no, we're not doing midpoints. It has nothing to do with midpoint. It is horizontal. Is a perpendicular line from here. Well, that slope 1 over 1. If we do the negative, we do -1, +1, -1, +1, -1, +1, -1, +1, -1, +1. So this is actually right here. This is that is our altitude right there. Turns out that this is 45 degrees. So this one is, if I do the slope of this, I'm going to come up with a -1. So the opposite reciprocal is going to be 1. And so I start from the other. The only one that I haven't done yet is this angle. So +1. Wait, rise over run. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So there it is. So that means that our orthocenter is on our triangle. So chances are you're going to have maybe one inside, one outside, but give these two a try. I'll be here to answer any questions that you have and help you out as much as I can. And that's your homework, 1 through 11.